Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Thank you, Chingo. Thanks for making the drive today. Thanks for coming over here.
Thank you, brother. Man, that was a hell of an intro you gave me.
Hey, no problem. You are a hell of a guy, for that hell of an intro. So, and first of all, man, I appreciate it. And I want to tell you thank you for those tamales the other day.
Yeah, what'd you think?
You are really the Tamale King.
Come on.
The cheese tamale with the pepper. Oh, man, that was good. What did you think about that, Angel? Angel is giving thumbs up there.
Here's a disclaimer. It is not a low-calorie food. It is not a low-calorie food.
So, I couldn't eat all of them. So I brought them over here, and I was telling people, I'm like, man, it was really good. The tamales are really good. And Angel is like, are they really good, or are you just hyping them up? I said, well, yeah, I got a couple of them left. And he went to the fridge and had some. And
yeah, we're proud of them.
So he liked them, but yeah, I gotta try the chicken. I don't eat pork, but I gotta try the chicken one also next time.
Hey, we prayed over that pork. So we prayed over all those tamales. We wanted to make sure that we brought a smile to people's face and everybody, get the nourishment and enjoyment and just we wanted just to create an experience because it was National Tamale Day. So we didn't want it to just be like, what's up, y'all? It's a merch pop-up. It's like, no, it's National Tamale Day. We're at 8th Wonder. They also had a black market birria right there. We had some delicious beer. So it was fun. And thank you.
And I had those birria tacos. They were really good, too. So let me ask you a question. Where did you get this name Tamale King from?
Man, I'm not going to lie. I gave myself the name.
Self-proclaimed.
Yeah, self-proclaimed. Because sometimes you got to put it out there. You got to say, these tamales so good, you slap your mama. But you got to make sure you could back it up. So the backstory is my dad, just like many of our relatives did either still do at one point, sold tamales at work. And my mom would make them. My dad would sell them at work. And then they made fun of him, and he got embarrassed. They put a sign on his toolbox. It said, Pedro el Tamalero. And so he got butthurt, I guess, and he didn't want to be the Tamale King. And so I was the young Tamale Prince. And so when I got into the music game, I saw how everybody was talking about, like, hustling and whipping up this and I got all the metaphors, Jeezy, young Jeezy and all these people were talking about dope, and I was a good kid, I'm educated. I didn't want to come in faking the funk talking about dope. I was like, I could talk about tamales though. I was like, it's damn near like dope. It's still capitalism. You're still hustling. You still got a trap house. You still need more baggies, more foil. Can you eyeball a kilo? You still got to do the same stuff, but in a positive way. I wanted to, represent my people and how no matter what, you can always get it out the mud, as they say, and sell some tamales.
Well, you know what? And tamale is good money, man. Whenever people buy it.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And I'm looking for, every year, I'm looking for somebody. I'm like, is your mom making some tamales? Because we want some.
Yeah, the plug.
So that's good. So now I know who to get it from now. Since I've heard him all this, like what, 18, 19 years? You'd saying you're Tamale King. So so when your wife posted it, told me that y'all were doing this, I'm like, I'm coming over there.
Yeah, thank you.
And it was good, man. So it was good. I appreciate it. So, we were talking about it before the interview, how in 2001, 2002, 2003, we started hearing you in Houston, right? Mm-hmm. You had these funny music videos, funny music, like almost like Weird Al. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there was some local radio stations that basically played your stuff, and you got really well known in Houston. Mm-hmm. And now you have transitioned into not only this funny song guy, but a comedian, a full-blown comedian selling some improv, arenas and stuff like that. So talk about that a little bit. How did you first start with the funny music? Mm-hmm.
Well,
and then transition.
Yeah, so I graduated from college 2001. So I'm very blessed that soon after I already started making noise. I guess like my senior year in college, I started making noise in San Antonio in the underground with just some freestyles on some mixtapes at the flea market. And that started circulating. Around that time, something came about that the music industry didn't like, which was Napster, LimeWire, like file sharing. I was just young, hungry, trying to make a name for myself. So it helped me. I wasn't really selling units in the beginning anyway. So it was just a way to get known. And that led to, wow, people know you in Palm Springs, California. Like in the beginning, we'd get orders at the P.O. box from like, yo, Chicago, or man, what the hell? They got Mexicans in Florida? Like I had no idea, because all I knew was the southeast of Houston. That's all I really knew. I was in my bubble. I was young, stupid. And you know, thanks to the internet. So I've always been like an internet type of whatever you want to call me, entertainer, whatever. Content creator, influencer. Like before they had those names.
Well, at that time you were the internet sensation.
I was just getting heard through, like you mentioned, a lot of DJs did show me love. A lot of radio stations did show me love. Club DJs, stuff like that. But it was like a word of mouth thing. It was kind of like, man, you heard that crazy dude? Man, that sounds like something he would say or whatever. So I had a lot of fun, you know, when it was time to make the mixtapes and coming up with the titles, coming up with a funny CD cover, you know, remaking something, but then dropping something serious too. And actually getting to the point to where, well, let me tell you this story. There was a point where P. Diddy wanted to sign me. The way this came about was Pitbull told P. Diddy, hey, you need to start a Latino label, call it Bad Boy Latino, and I'm going to give you some artists you should look into. Here's this one cat from Texas, Mexican kid, his name's Chingo Bling. Well, P. Diddy took his word for it because Pitbull told him, hey, and if you don't jump on this, Little John already wants to sign him to his label. So Pitbull then had to call Little John and say, hey, if anybody asks, you want to sign this kid named Chingo Bling? And Little John was like, okay. He went along with it. And so P. Diddy believed it. And he came to Houston. He threw this all-white party where everybody had to wear white. And I had on my white cowboy hat, white everything, white boots. I looked like a little glass of horchata. Like it could have been my rap name, Little Horchata. And I remember, you know, we met up with Diddy at the hotel. And he's like, all right, he's getting ready. And he's like, tonight you're going to see how a bad boy parties. It's a bad boy party. This ain't no Little John party. And I remember thinking like, why'd he bring up Little John? I was like, oh, because Pitbull told him that. Damn. He believed it. Needless to say, I didn't sign the deal. I can give you my reasons on that off the air. But basically, you know, he was more into reality TV shows. He had people going to get cheesecake. He had to do with the umbrella at the time. And it didn't really seem like a label. It's like Mace was gone. Biggie was gone. 112 was gone. And I asked him, what's next for your label? He's like, I'm working on my shit. I'm like, okay. Say no more.
Say no more.
But nah, he made some hits after that. But anyway, it's been a crazy run, man. It's been a really fun ride. I'm glad I did it my way. I'm glad I took a chance. You know, as a young kid, when my parents were on my ass, you need to get a job. You need to get a real job. They were on my ass. You need to get a real job. And I was like, look, just give me a year to try to see if I can make some noise and get something going. If not, I'll go have a regular job. And so I'm glad I dove in.
So let me ask you a question. Like, how, when you first started, now your parents have this pressure on you, and growing up, I mean, you know, grew up in an immigrant family. I mean, you know, Hispanic family. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, they're gonna make fun of me. You need to do something real. People are looking at me. I'm sure you got that. I crossed the river for this. I'm sure you got that. Like, what is everybody gonna say?
Yeah, I remember one time my dad said, he said, you know, mijo, how you gonna make it in music with that voice? He's like, you know, Vicente Fernandez, that's a man's voice. You know, Vicente, that's a man. He got a man voice. You got this little, how you gonna rap with that little bitty voice?
So I'm sure the pressure must have been great. I mean, you know, and then you start this thing, and you're not in mainstream music, but you have this different niche.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and what did that do? I mean, you know, how did that play when you had a different niche, and you know, I don't have a big deal yet, but I still got to make ends meet. How did that play with your thing?
Well, like I mentioned off air, I took a lot of notes from people like Jay Prince, Rap A Lot Records, Tony Draper, Suave House Records, all the big independent people, Rec Shop Records, Suave House, Swisher House, you know, all these dudes like Slim Thug and Paul and Chameleon, they were like, you know, you could get anywhere from $6 to $8. Maybe Slim was getting $9 wholesale. So if there's 10 stores in San Antonio, for example, they all pre-ordered X amount of dozens, if you will. Boom. Now they're sending you a check. You know, you got CDs on Greyhound. So it was all about a store list back then. So although I was independent, although I didn't have a, you know, major backing from the beginning, but it was great. I was working with my family. Record stores were still a thing. You know, we were selling all kind of merch. We had like a shipping department, you know, where everything's just going out to the online orders.
So because you were doing it on your own, you were keeping majority of the money.
Yeah, you know, you're your own boss. And like you said, a niche. So I really had my own lane. I had like, you know, I mean, my own lane. Like at the time, a lot of people weren't trying to replicate, you know, what we were doing. Like, oh, I'm gonna do the funny Mexican stuff and mix it in with this. So, so yeah, we made a lot of noise.
I mean, you know, me listening to it, I mean, growing up, I mean, you know, I used to enjoy it. It was funny.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, it was not like, you know, like you said, Mace or Biggie, different music. You know, you listen to yours, it just made you laugh, you you, you know, think funny stuff. And I remember seeing your video that one time where you were wearing these cowboy boots in the chicken in the what is it called, the pin, you know, you had all these chickens, you were trying to catch the chickens and stuff. I can't remember what song it was.
Yeah. We probably had some where like fighting roosters, some crazy stuff that probably MTV wouldn't allow. But yeah, like I said, I mean, YouTube, I mean, Facebook, the internet is really I mean, even to this day, now I'm on TikTok. You know, I'm 41. What the hell am I doing on TikTok? But the internet's powerful. You know, there's this letter online that you can find. It's called 1,000 True Fans. And it basically means, you know, you don't need a gazillion fans. You just need, you know, the example the guy uses is 1,000 true fans, where let's just say hypothetically, they're spending a couple $100 with you throughout the year, and boom, you're making a decent living and not have to be a household name. So, yeah.
So you got your mixtape starting, you know, you got your music thing started. Now all of a sudden you're selling it to, you know, all these stores in San Antonio and Houston, Dallas. I mean, a lot in Texas. I don't know if you were out of Texas or not. And it was a different kind of deal that you're doing, right? So from 2004, 2005, 2006, how is it now? What is different?
Oh, man, that's a very good question. And I often look back at my life or career in these little time periods, because there's seasons, right? You got different, you know, as we noticed in 2020, the world could make a drastic change in a matter of time. So, you know, you have things like recessions, or new technology comes about and record stores are no longer a thing. Ringtones was a time period. Well, now it's streaming. You know, now it's like you aren't really selling CDs. You want these kids to just stream it, and it adds up eventually. But so around 04, 05, 06, I think, to be perfectly honest, I feel like I was feeling the pressure of, okay, you've been around for a couple years, you kind of made a little noise. How do you keep it going? How do you sustain it? How do you evolve? Like, where do you go from here? And I think at that time, I put out my first all original album with like all original beats and stuff. It was called Tamale Kingpin. And we got screwed by the distributor, because at the time I was doing these consignment programs with your all the record stores at the time. I think it was like FYE, Sam Goody, Hastings, where you drop off units and they say, okay, when they sell, we'll call you, we'll cut your check. And they get their percentage, right, for being retail. And I was doing really, really well with that, to the point to where they called from New York, the people that own, I think FYE and Sam Goody's. They said, hey, so this consignment program is for people that are, you know, moving X amount, but you're having to drive around collecting your money, dropping off more CDs over and over again. You should probably be going through a distributor. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Where do I find one? They said, here's a list of a few in Houston. I called the first one. They're like, okay, let's get an album going. We'll distribute it for you. You'll get 70%. You know, what we negotiated, they were getting like 30% for distribution fee. Then I would be on the shelves. I would no longer have to do consignment. Well, when we made it on Billboard, out the gate, independent, first album, top 100 charts, the rap 200 charts. We made a couple charts, and it's time to go get our cut, because we already spent a whole bunch of money, music videos, posters, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, here it is. And we're like, okay, is there a zero missing? Where's that? Is that a comma or a one? You know what I mean? And we realized we were getting screwed, and we had to end up going to court. They had to start pulling the album off the shelves so they could do this audit type of thing. We ended up winning on paper, but these dudes hid all their assets. So there's a paper that says, okay, these people owe you, X amount of dollars. So it was like a tough lesson. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, I got screwed out of some money. I'm just now trying to do things the right way, how everyone's telling you. Then you get a deal, and then you this and that. And it was just super discouraging because it's like, damn, you're taking 5 steps back. It's like, what do we do? Do we go back to the drawing board and go back to the underground, back to the mixtapes, and just build the momentum back up? And that's what we had to do. And thankfully, I just try to take it as a lesson, as a must take instead of a mistake, and just roll with the punches. And thankfully, we don't even really look back.
So who you had a manager, you had a team over there back then. Now, I interviewed Bun B on this thing, and Bun B said it's so important to own your own music. Okay, but there's a lot of people who try to buy your music and they give you X amount of money up front or something like that. Did you ever had people who wanted you to sell your music to them, and or did you sell it? Did you keep all of it? Do you own your music?
No, yeah, even the album we did through Warner Brothers, a label called Asylum, we even own that master. So when I had P Diddy and everybody was calling Master P, Capitol Records, like all these labels were calling because Houston had the spotlight. Houston was on fire. They saw Mike Jones was blowing up, Swisher House. They had all these people. And then MTV came down and did a segment called My Block. And they were interviewing different artists. And I was lucky enough to be on the list. Yeah. So thanks to these New Yorkers who came down to Houston, by the hair of my chinny chin chin, I somehow got on their radar. And the Source magazine, when they came down and everyone had to go to Jay Prince's ranch. And it was just like 50 rappers out there. Thankfully, I was like the only hit Mexican. Like I made the cut somehow. They included me. But when we were getting hit up, we were already paranoid because we had already gotten screwed in the past. And everything I ever heard about these big New York corporate people that come down in suits and talk real fast, they want you to sell them your farm. So ownership. And that's why we kept telling everybody, no. Asylum Records, which is a branch under Warner Brothers, they were the only ones that said, fine, you'll keep your masters, you'll own the album, we'll just distribute it. And, they had a marketing budget and advance and all these other things, but that was unheard of. Nobody was going to let you keep your masters. Nobody. No one was going to invest in you, give you a marketing budget and all this stuff, and then let you own it. So I think that's part of the reason why it didn't really work as a marriage, because it's like, we're only getting 30% off this kid or whatever it was. We're only getting 30% off of him. We're getting 90 off all these other cats.
Yeah.
Who are we really going to focus on?
Of course, the 91. So you kept your own masters, you kept your songs and everything. Let me ask you, looking back, is it something you glad you did that, or you think you could have given him a little more?
Well, yeah, sometimes I think to myself, like, man, maybe I should have renegotiated with them and say, hey, man, let's go 50-50. I don't need the whole pie. Let's really try to work it out. But I was just so stressed out with the album making process and just a lot of stuff, I guess, like personal life stuff. And it feels like you're playing 3 different chess games at once. And you're trying to keep the team going, and the team grew so big. Now there's cliques, so it's like you got 2 teams, and it was just a stressful time period.
So when was? Tell me, what year was this?
That's probably like 07 ish.
07-ish. Okay, and you, of course, you have your personal stuff. You have your company kind of got a little bigger, and you got. You got family, you got music, you got everything going on at the same time. Yeah. Don't know what, and you don't know which one is which one is the right thing. Yeah. How did you handle everything? How did you make the judgment?
Oh man, really, man, it was just like a storm. I think it was like the recession, and you know what I mean. So now the concert promoters that were booking you, they're having to deal with the recession because maybe the people they were going to sell tickets to, maybe they lost their jobs. So it's just a chain effect. So it's like record stores are shutting down. It's all about the MP3. your record store hustle is gone. Like that's not even a thing. So we just had to hang in there. It was like
because at that time, Napster got really big. I think Napster disappeared at that time in 2007 ish, right? We about to be at the brink of recession. Music stores have disappeared now from malls, right?
Yeah.
And because I think in 2006, 2007 is when the music stores started going down. And MySpace I think is almost gone at this point.
Yeah, I don't remember when.
I don't remember, but I mean, so a lot of changes.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's a way to say it is like there's so many variables, and hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Like right now, I could look back and be like, bro, there was some geopolitical stuff going on that you didn't even have no control over. So it's like I was in this maze. Like, okay, well, like you're literally in a storm trying to hunker down. Like, all right, are there any record stores left? Shh, everything's going to hell. Like, what's going on with Obama? I don't know, man. It's a recession, but we're gonna hang in there. And your whole world is kind of like just getting shaken up. So I can't. And then I started getting in a couple movies too. I think that might have been like a couple years after that, where I felt like, okay, well, maybe that's a whole nother lane. I can evolve into that lane.
So let me ask you, when all that stuff happened, did you think my music career is over?
It felt pretty bumpy and pretty rocky. Yeah, it felt kind of like uncertain. Absolutely. It felt kind of like, where is this going? How do you evolve to keep it interesting for the fans? Like, you can't keep repeating what you already did. Talk about new stuff, show different stuff, evolve. So, it was just like, man, just hang in there.
so you thinking at this point, okay, well, I don't know, uncertainty, right? Did you take a hiatus?
Nah, I wouldn't really call it a hiatus, because a hiatus to me is you just like literally leaving it alone and you going off to do something else. Which that in hindsight, hey, that probably would have been a good play too.
But hiatus sometimes might mean that you just took off for a brief period and you can come back. Yeah,
sometimes you have to look at it like you're gonna do a sprint. So sometimes you do have to fall back a little bit, retreat a little bit, plan, strategize, so that when you do another run or another campaign, it's somewhat organized.
And I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but at some point, did you feel like, man, did I make a mistake? Did I fail doing this? I mean, could I have done it another way?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you have to be careful of getting into those coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Self-doubt.
Yeah, because then you just get bitter, or you start getting all depressed, thinking about, man, if I had just told P. Diddy yes. It's like, nah, chances are, bro, where is Bad Boy Latino now? You know what I mean?
Did it ever exist?
I think they tried to put out this one like pretty boy pop type of dude with when he worked with Emilio Estefan. But no, it's not really a thing. At the time, sometimes you have to have your compass and your gut to where know how to spot bull crap, BS, right? Know how to spot it. Sometimes it's more important to know how to spot BS than it is to know how to spot an opportunity. Because BS is going to come all the time, and people trying to pull you in different directions. Hey, man, check this out, Sammy. Man, look, you need to open one up. Exclusive furniture, man. I'm telling you, man, over there, this market's perfect. And you're like, hold on, man. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me marinate. So I just had my bullshit detector pretty good, to where it's like, okay, some stuff might sound good, but you just got to be on your P's and Q's and don't dwell too much on, I should have went left when I went right, or vice versa. Sometimes it's like, hey man, it is what it is. You got to bust a move. Sometimes you have to be counterintuitive. You can't just do what people are going to predict. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So, I mean, you're still pretty young. You're probably thinking, man, I don't know what I'm doing. But now you're focused more on comedy. And you also now started your own podcast.
Yeah.
Which is more like on a political stage kind of thing. So tell me how, from singing and being a singer, because that's what you were focused on in the beginning, even though it might be a little, funny music and everything. But how did you become a comedian? And now, I mean, you're a full-blown comedian now. So how did that happen?
Oh, man, great question. So at some point while I was still doing the music thing, trying to figure out YouTube, figure out the internet, like just figure out all the tools, I had the opportunity. It was actually Rascal from the radio. I guess he dabbled in comedy a little bit, and he had a showcase going down. He said, hey, do you want to host it? And I'm like, well, I'm a fan of stand-up. I've always wanted to do it. I have some ideas, some stuff that could be funny. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I used to host concerts all the time. That's how I started. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. No, but it was a rude awakening. It scared me. I feel like I bombed so bad because I didn't know what I was doing. It was like my first time, and it just scarred me to where I'm like, anytime somebody would bring up, hey, we're thinking about doing some stand-up, I'd be like, man, I've been there. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And when that room is quiet and you're up there trying to talk and trying to be funny and they're not laughing, oh, man, it's very uncomfortable. So I was very closed-minded because I failed at it. And then a few years later, a buddy of mine, he started organizing some stand-up shows. He was hiring comedians from around the state. He's like, hey, man, if you want, bring some merch, whatever. And if you want to do a spot, we'll let you get up there, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I'm down. And I'd kept it, short because I was just starting. And little by little, you just start making adjustments and editing and learning. Like, yeah, that's not how you want to start off, or that's not a good enough joke, and, figuring it out. So thankfully, that was like that was almost like some sunshine, when you're struggling in the music business for so many ups and downs and good times and bad times. And then this really cool job comes about where it's like, yo, you get to stand on stage, make people laugh, really make an impact, when people have a good time. If they're having a bad day, you never know. Sometimes people really need it. So yeah, it's been a blessing.
So when did you do your first comedy show that made an impact? When was that? What year was that?
Where you're doing like good big crowds or something?
Decent crowd.
Yeah. I mean,
or you felt it in your heart. Let me rephrase that question.
Well, I started.
When was the first time you felt it in your heart? I like this. I am good at it, and I think I can do this.
Maybe about a year in, approximately, after getting a lot more practice, to the point where I was looking back at my old recordings. Like, let's say Juan Villarreal let me open up at the Joke Joint or something, and I look back at some of those sets, and I'm like, oh my God, that was horrible. Like, people were still kind of laughing, but man, I wish I could redo that. That's how I started knowing I was improving. And then as the laughs are more consistent, when you start feeling the laughs are stronger, when they're laughing at the part they're supposed to be laughing at, just all those little things where you're just starting to be, you're still a rookie, you're still a white belt, but you really feel like, okay, I think I can kind of handle this.
And so a year into it, you started getting more
started seeing potential.
So now, let's just say 2021. I know you just did a comedy show last week, right? Where was in Mission, Texas. How was that?
Great. It was outdoors. I had pyrotechnics on the stage, like little sparks. I feel like little Mexican Kevin Hart up there. It was sold out, like 1,000 people, and in a pandemic. So it's crazy times. If you post a video of a lot of people in a club, they'll talk mess about you. Oh man, that's a spreader. That's a super spreader event. And how dare you, this and that. But this one, they couldn't get us because it's like, man, it's outdoors. Leave these people alone. They're spaced out. Everybody follows local guidelines and stuff. But yeah, people are like, man, we needed that. Like, man, it was funny. And then let me just tell you this lineup real quick. So for everyone listening, you can go do your own research. But we had Raymond Horta, comedian out of the Valley, Javi Luna, comedian out of Corpus Christi, and Ralph Barboza, comedian out of Dallas, and myself. So from the beginning of the show, people are already like, because these dudes are heavy hitters. They're heavy hitters, man. And that's how I like to roll, because that lets me know if I'm able to really keep up, if I'm even in the same league or arena as these dudes. Because these dudes are like murderers.
They're murderers.
Oh, man.
So how many shows are you planning on doing this year?
Man, it is hard to plan this year.
Right now.
Because
you never know.
Yeah, because I'm over here promoting dates like Brea, California, and this and that. But then we get the email, hey, we don't think the club's going to be open by then. It's like, man, why? It's sold out. It's sold out. Y'all done sold all these tickets. And now y'all got to email these people and say, hey, he's not coming because we thought we were going to be open by then. And that's when I started paying attention. Like in 2020, I started paying more attention to stuff like, depending on what kind of state you live in, whether it's red or blue, it's crazy the distinction between Florida and New York, California and Texas. Like who's allowed to work, what things are open. For the longest, a lot of my friends in California, they weren't able to eat at a restaurant, like nothing. Go to the gym, get a haircut, nothing. We had that
a couple of weeks ago.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So what do you think about that?
Well, it's a tricky subject. And obviously I'm pretty biased because I want to go to work. You know what I mean? Like, especially now, we got a vaccine and so on and so forth. But I feel like, it's not, I know we're getting into murky waters, right? But to put it in a nutshell, I feel like people really want their freedom. And it's really sad to see cities like New York City where they just shut everything down. And then they had that harsh winter, so people couldn't eat outside anyway. And it just really makes you wish the good old days. I mean, miss the good old days.
Yeah. When you say good old days, you mean prior to March 2020?
Yeah, man. I remember like it was yesterday. I was listening to this podcast, this dude named Scott Adams, and he's always breaking down the news and stuff. And I remember the first time he mentioned, the COVID virus. And he started saying like, well, so far they're saying that it doesn't spread to people, so we're good. And the World Health Organization just said this. And so I was keeping up with it from the beginning. And one time we had a show in Kansas City, and the day that we landed, it was the day that on the east side, the water thing broke and people had to, it was like no water anywhere.
I remember.
So that day we landed, we stopping at a Starbucks or Papa's Barbecue or something. They're like, nah, man, ain't no water. We can't do nothing. They're like, what? So we had to go straight to like the grocery store. And I told my wife, I said, hey, we need to get a big old thing of Purell and stock up on some stuff because this little virus over here is coming. She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, look, just get the big Purell. And sure enough, fast forward a couple weeks, people going out there to get that stuff and can't find it. So it's been a crazy, needless to say, man, past couple year.
So, and I don't want to talk about COVID or the virus or whatever. Yeah. So you said you told your wife to get the big Purell or whatever, right? Yeah. And it's funny. The reason why I'm saying that is because my sister yesterday, we have this group text with all these people on there, like the family stuff. And she's at HEB and she's like, I can't believe there's so much Lysol out there and so much, now there's like all kind of hand sanitizers and everything.
All the stuff you needed. Yeah.
Did people stop caring about the virus, especially in Texas, or what do you think?
That's a very good question. I feel that Texas is probably a little bit more loose and more open than a lot of these other states because we went to visit my sister-in-law in Boston, and you see people, I mean, there was people just outside walking by themselves with like the mask or two, or people in their cars by themselves rocking the mask. And I get it. If you're an Uber driver, yes, wear your mask, make sure they wear theirs. But outdoors by yourself, it's kind of like you don't really see that in Texas as much. So we have to remember that the messaging and I don't want to call it propaganda, but how sometimes the marketing in every town is different. They got to run billboards everywhere. Like here, you might see mask up, right? But if you go to Boston, they might say, we in this together or some shit. So people have a different level of fear. I feel like that level of fear has come down overall. Since
But has it come in different states? Because you said blue states, red states. What do you think?
Man, yes. I feel like obviously Texas is borderline blue. Texas is purple. It's like about to be blue probably. But you sometimes, man, depending on how you look at the situation, sometimes you really feel like, man, some of my friends in California are brainwashed. Like they be like, nah, man, it's for our own good and this and that, and we just got to hang in there. We just got to flatten the curve. It's like, bro, it's been It's been
Over a
well
year.
over a year, and y'all still not allowed to do nothing. And I guess my thing is, I get upset, when I see their governor just making stuff worse. People getting depressed. They can't do nothing. Can't nobody go to work, and sometimes people, they just kind of go along with it. So that kind of, it throws me off, because I'm like, man, I don't know how y'all do it. And I'm glad, I'm blessed. We're from Texas. Texas, one of the best states, probably the best state. So I already thought that before.
I'm with you on that. I'm glad and I tell this to people all the time. I'm glad we live in Texas, because even Miami, that's in Florida. Before the spring break, they still had a 12 o'clock curfew. Mm-hmm. Okay, that means that if I want to go somewhere after 12, I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I understand the spring break chaos that happened over there has enforced the 8 o'clock curfew, which is a different story. But I think that was because of all the revelers and the party guys and party people and everything. And all that stuff, all that chaos happened because I feel like people just got tired of being trapped inside, right? Yeah. But neither here nor there. I want to ask you about your podcast and the platform you run. Mm-hmm. How did you go from making comedy songs, having this thing saying they can't deport us all, okay? Yeah. Then this comedy stuff, and now having a pretty biased political show.
Yeah. So that's the $1 million question. How does Chingo Bling, a lifelong Democrat, walk away from the Democratic Party? How did the Democratic Party lose Chingo Bling's vote? Why does Chingo Bling feel like the Democrats got to earn his vote back? What happened? What damn rabbit hole did you go down where everyone's like, man, you did a 180. You forgot about your people. Man, you sold out. And it's like, I used to think exactly like you. So I'm not even mad, because I was literally just like the people that are calling me a coconut. He's white on the inside. I think he a white supremacist. And, I could read his mind, and I could tell he don't like Mexicans, and he hates being Mexican. And look, he wished them white people would go to his shows. Man, look at him. I could just tell. And it took everybody as a shock. But here's the steps. Once I started seeing all the hoaxes getting debunked, when I started noticing that the media had been lying to us, framing this man, because I didn't like Donald Trump. I couldn't stand him when he first won. I was like, he called us rapists. He talking about build the wall. He's a reality show star. Our country's gonna go to shit. When they announced that he won, I just told my wife, let's go to bed. I don't know what the hell. We can't watch this. And I wrote this little 4-page letter when he called us rapists and stuff, supposedly, right? That's what I thought. Dear Donald Trump, you have awakened a silent giant, and you done made a big mistake, and all this crap, right? But then, about maybe like a year and a half ago, right before COVID and the pandemic, I started noticing, wait, why are they trying to impeach him? I started looking into, so what was that phone call about? Oh, so he's looking into corruption. Okay. And wait, he really didn't call Nazis fine people. He really didn't say drink bleach. When I started seeing all the unedited clips of how the media be lying to us, I started being more able to listen to what he was saying. Like, America first. We gotta have this good economy. We gotta bring jobs back. Basic stuff that really don't sound racist. Mm-hmm. But you got the news saying, nah, man, when they say make it great again, that's racist. And they the KKK and this and that. And I bought it. So once I started realizing that the media lies, I was able to just pay attention to, man, how are they letting Antifa? Why are the Democrats defending Antifa when they're burning up these cities and doing autonomous zones and this and that, like lawlessness? And I started looking at that. I'm like, man, they're just playing political games. And it was just a big turnoff. So in a nutshell, that's really what got everything going. And I wanted to let my people know, So I opened up my big mouth.
So now, like some people who are listening to this, and people who even listen to this over here, they're like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
Yeah. Why would you do that?
What kind of garbage is he saying? Because people still believe like, okay, well, this might be true and this might be true and this might be true. Yeah. How did you come to terms like, I'm going to lose a lot of fans? I mean, what made you do it?
Well, I'm not going to say Lil Wayne gassed me up. I'm not going to say that. Nah, but really, like, for example, even with the they can't deport us all thing, I've been talking about political type issues You know, I had a stance. You know, anytime the Democrats would call, like, hey, man, we got Beto O'Rourke. You know, you want to go up there? And I'd go. Because I always thought the Democrats are the ones that care about the poor. They're more diverse. They care about the minorities. The Republicans are old, greedy, white, and they're not really saying anything that's even attracting me. I can't get into Mitt Romney. You know what I'm saying? Who are these people? What are y'all talking about? It's so like stale and dusty. But once I started hearing Trump calling out, you know, the swamp, these politicians been in here forever. And look, the border is a mess. These people getting sex trafficked. Houston is a human trafficking capital of the country. Back in the day, when you used to hire a coyote, it would be a family. Let's just say a family from Mexico, for example. They pay a coyote, a smuggler, and it's usually like they just kind of know a route. They know how to get around it. They'll charge you, they'll cross you, and then you're on your own. They'll say, hey, man, follow the railroad tracks. When they veer off, stay to the right or whatever. Now, the cartels done took it over. They done took it over from start to finish. Now it's 12-year-old little girls coming from Honduras. I literally witnessed it. I went down there. I was on the river in the boat seeing, you know what I'm saying? I had more access than CNN. We were on the boat witnessing just the rafts going whoop, 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 whoop. And a lot of these people are going to end up being indentured servants because they don't have the $9,000, the $20,000, whatever it is. It's just a crazy crisis. It's like a huge traffic jam. They said it was already 100,000 people that crossed in last month. It's like 500 kids a day. And, you know, we don't have to get into the nitty gritty as to whose fault is it or what policy changes were there. Long story short, it's sad and it's a humanitarian crisis because you literally have people traveling alone or little kids or whatever for months. Like as they were being crossed, ¿de dónde son? Guatemala. ¿De dónde son? Honduras. ¿Cuánto tiempo en llegar? 4 meses. And they would say, we're starving to death in our country. Help us. Like straight up.
So you're saying that you've heard people on the voyage for 4 or 5 months?
4 months, 3 months. Some people said a month on foot. I'm like, and then I've been to Mexico. I had to do a show in Monterrey in Spanish. And when we got picked up, I noticed people just kind of homeless, like transient, begging and stuff. And I asked the driver, like, hey, man, like, y'all got a homelessness? I like to pay attention to things like what's y'all's local economy, what's the unemployment level, because I need to get a sense of how the city works. What do y'all work in? What's the industry? So I asked the question, and he's like, wow, these are our neighbors from the South. You know, they come over here, they bring their problems. We need to build a wall, make Honduras pay for it. Like, this dude was a Mexican conservative, and he wasn't too happy about his tax dollars going towards Central Americans. And why is the government not doing their fair share, knowing that Mexico has its own fair share of problems, economic and employment?
Yeah,
and whatever.
Mexico have a lot of problems right now.
Corruption.
So you did a show in Spanish.
Yeah.
And how comfortable are you doing a show in Spanish?
Great question, Sammy. This is the part where I'm going to start sweating on camera. So I thought my Spanish was pretty damn good until you get around for real. These are Mexicans, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is Spanish. So de volada te tantean, hey, pues, ¿de dónde eres? You know what I mean? Because they hear your accent. Sound American to them. And my wife, however, she has that good Mexico City Spanish that she learned from her mom because her mom was very strict, always corrected her. And so she opened her mouth down there, and they're like, oh, what part of Mexico are you from? But it went well. We did 2. One in Monterrey. That one did better. And then the next one was in Saltillo, Coahuila, where I have some family. Family showed up, and they looked very judgmental. So I got in my head, and my Spanish wasn't as good that night.
I feel like you felt like Selena.
Yeah. Me siento muy excited.
Muy excited.
Yeah.
So now I know you have a daughter, 2-year-old. Is she 2 or 3?
2.5.
2.5. And y'all don't speak English to her.
No.
She speaks no English.
She's starting to learn little words. She's picking them up from somewhere.
Yeah.
She's like, too hot, papi. Too hot.
Because y'all spoke, your wife, I think you told me or your wife told me when I first met y'all at the Pica Fest, y'all don't speak no English to her because you want her to learn Spanish. She can go learn English at school.
Yeah, she'll pick it up.
She'll pick it up eventually.
English is there's no way around it. They're gonna learn English.
They're gonna learn English, so which is good. I mean, a lot of people should do that. So in your house, I mean, it's y'all speaking nothing but Spanish because of the baby.
Yeah, well, my wife and I will speak English, and so obviously I
think she's catching it from there.
She even knows the cuss words. Like, am I allowed to cuss on here?
A little bit, yes. Go ahead.
No, I won't. But anyway, like we might say the SH word or something, and then she'll be like, papi, don't.
Well, you can say the SH because the name of the show is Make Shit Happen.
Okay, yeah, good. Perfect. We'll be like, shit. You'll drop something and be like, shit. She'll be like, papi, no diga shit. So she'll call us out, and we're like, shh.
So I know you have an older daughter.
Yeah.
Now, what about when she comes? Does she speak Spanish with her too?
She's picking up more Spanish now because she's having to communicate. Like, Dad, how do I say get out my room? No, salte de mi cuarto, salte de mi cuarto.
So that's getting better for the older ones too.
Yes,
that's good. What's the goal now? Like like Chingo after 2021. What is the goal?
Well, fortunately, with the pandemic, I realized that. I mean, we already had a plan to like, hey, let's not have to be on the road. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to be touring and traveling and stuff like that. You know, we want to get out the game because everybody wants to get in the game. But a lot of people don't think about, look, the first thing you need to be doing is figure out how you're going to get out the game. Mm-hmm. Because everybody wants money and a career really for freedom. It gives you options. So the pandemic really taught us that, we have to, really pivot into some other things that don't involve traveling. Everyone right now is thinking of how to make a business that's pandemic proof. Obviously, if you're in live touring, you are not pandemic proof at all.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So that everything was going so great. It's like, oh man, look at all these cities. We had it all lined up, year after year, boom, this tour, that tour. And then it's like, oh yeah, cancel that. So it's like, oh shit, now you're stuck at home. And now you got time to plan and think like, okay, you're not going to catch me slipping 2 times. So
before the show, I talked to you about this. I know your wife now, who you've been married for 3 years. Mm-hmm. She does a lot of your stuff. Mm-hmm. She's more like your manager.
Yes.
And you said when she was at the show with you in Mexico, she was talking, representing you.
La manager.
How important the manager is in your life. I mean, because sometimes, you're married, but you just don't have that person, mm-hmm. They don't want to do that work.
Yeah.
Right? And look like your wife does a lot of stuff for you. Mm-hmm. How did that change your life? Or how good is that for you?
Oh man, that's great. What happens sometimes too is sometimes you need somebody that doesn't care about the industry. They care about you. Mm-hmm. So they're always going to watch your back. They're not worried about, nah, man, I can't burn that bridge, or no, I'm not going to say that, or yeah, I want to stick up for you, but this is a big company we're dealing with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's good to have solid people, whether it's your spouse or not, because like Daddy Yankee, his wife manages him too, that could be a cool little reality show, right? Las Managers. Yeah. So yeah, it's good to have people that, they're not about the industry, they're about you. So it just so happens that she had all the right skill set and personality and everything, and she's a quick learner and everything because she didn't know anything about show business or dealing with comedy clubs. But, some stuff we had to Google literally like, okay, what type of this, what is this in this contract or whatever? Obviously you got lawyers and stuff, but yeah, all the comedy clubs love her. All the people from the, like all the different chains of clubs and stuff. They're like, oh, hey, they always exchanging recipes and stuff.
Does she keep you in check, Chingo?
Oh yeah. Yeah, she's on my ass.
She look like she can be mean,
yeah,
bro.
No, yeah, she's on my ass. She is on my ass. Big time. But you need somebody too that's gonna keep it real. It's not a yes man type of situation. This is totally different than my rap days. Now it's just we going out there, it's strictly business. There really ain't no after party. You know what I mean? We're chilling. I'm 41. I already did all that, being at the club, dehydrated the next day, hopping on a plane, hungover. And it reminds me of like my buddy Lucky. Have you met Lucky?
No.
I'll just mention him briefly, but we come from that era of just being young, dumb, stupid at the club, wasting time in these cities, and you're just lost in the sauce. And then, you find somebody and you settle down and you grow up and you mature. And that's the phase I'm at right now. So, we're just trying to get some land, and you know what I'm saying?
Just trying to have a lot of your chickens right there, huh?
Yeah, just, get some land, stay out the way, and on some boss type of stuff.
So let me ask you. So you said that you have planned to get out of the game, right? Mm-hmm. But your comedy is going so good. Is there something like is there a goal like, man, I wish I could have my own Netflix one day?
Well, I had something on Netflix. We licensed it to them, and their license expired, so now we own it.
Yeah.
So it's a free agent again. But yeah.
But what I mean is like Netflix special. You know how Netflix brings like Joe Coy and Kevin Hart.
Okay, Netflix original.
Netflix original. That's what I mean. Yes.
Yeah, ours was we licensed it to them. That's not really my goal. That would be dope. I'm sure the check would be nice
if it happens.
Yeah. I mean, but there's so many options. There's just so many these days. There's so many ways to go about it. There's a lot of players. I know Netflix is like obviously one of the biggest players, but I mean, even with a poppin' podcast, man, you get enough patrons. There's just so many ways to go about it. And it's interesting that I'm in the comedy world because I feel like a lot of this innovation of show business is coming from the comedy world, because you have people like Andrew Schultz that just plays the game his way. Like Joe Coy, for example, he produced that special on his own because he had the bread for it. He was already doing arenas before Netflix. So yeah.
So let me now your podcast called Redpill Tamale.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with Redpill?
I think a fan suggested it. I think a fan was like, "Man, you red pilling people, man. You got them red pill tamales." And I was like, "Oh, that shit has a ring to it."
Yeah.
But it's going very well, man. All we're trying to do is, like I said, in our community, the Democrats have had a monopoly on our vote. They've had a stronghold on us, and they haven't let us explore the other options. They keep us very controlled. They've made us single issue voters. They make it to where if you're Latino, all you need to be paying attention to is what type of immigration reform or DACA. That's it. That's all you need to worry about. Don't worry about economy, jobs, nothing. Don't worry about that. And so I feel like, Univision. Well, I don't want to diss, Univision, but there's a lot of networks that have a big Hispanic audience, and you don't hear both sides. Just like I'm biased, they're biased too. So I feel like Little David versus Goliath, where I'm the little guy, I'm like one of the few brown people that's saying, hey, y'all, don't fall for the okie doke. Pay attention. Look into things. Ask more questions. Try to see the clip without, more context. And a lot of the stuff that's happening now, we called it. We already predicted it. We already said it's going to be a mess at the border. Taxes about to go up. Gas about to go up. We about to be back at war. I said all this stuff before the inauguration and all that. I was just telling people, get ready. They selling you a good game. They telling you stuff that sounds real good. It all sounds nice. But in reality, and remember, y'all, I know this is the Make Shit Happen podcast. These opinions are Chingo Bling's only. Not nobody else. Because it's a sticky subject, but I've always been outspoken. I'd feel very corny keeping my mouth shut from my point of view. Like, there's other comedians who are still very left, still very, very super hardcore Democrat, and they sitting there crying when Trump had kids in cages, but now that Biden got more kids in cages, they just crickets. So I always pick on Latino Hollywood on my podcast. I always be like, man, Eva Longoria, man, you was out there really pushing Biden, and now we got kids in cages, and y'all not coming down to the border. Nobody's talking about it. It's nothing to see here.
Well, that is kind of bad that nobody's talking about it.
It's
right?
nothing to see here. Keep it moving.
Because I think there's more people right now in those detention camps.
Yeah, they said it's a huge surge.
Yeah, it's a huge. Chingo, you look like you've had a long career. I'll say from 2001, 2002 to 2020. 19 years. You've been in the game, and you said you have faced a lot of disappointment, failures, setbacks, where the distribution company took advantage of you, and then the music stores going away and everything. What did you take out of all this ups and downs and back and forth? What do you think? Well, if you say, man, I learned something out of it. What would you say?
Well, I learned that there's always a lot of variables. There's always different little storms and things brewing. And, you definitely have to, peep game. Keep your head on a swivel. Always stay hustling. Keep your options diverse. Don't keep all your eggs in one basket. Have some businesses that don't have your name on it. So when people want to cancel you, they can't cancel that. That's always good to have. But yeah, I just learned that, there's going to be ups and downs. But what you have to do is know who you are coming into the game. Know what your standards are. Know what you're not willing to do. So that you can navigate it with a moral compass and make sure you're enjoying the journey, because, it might sound cliche, but it's not about the destination. Some people are like, man, I just want to be on a major record deal and have my face on a billboard and have a song on the radio, and that'll mean I made it. And then I could be on tour in the tour bus, and that means I made it. And then it's like, okay, well, watch this when that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watch what other stuff comes with that. Or let's see how happy you are in that tour bus. And because there might be some other stuff going on. So yeah, it's definitely about the journey. Make sure you're having fun with it.
It's what happened after the tour bus.
Yeah, it's just
that's all that matters, right?
I mean, you might see a band on a tour bus, but you don't know what all else. That tour bus might be rented. The label might be, screwing them over on the record sales. They beefing with their girl back home. It's just, it might be some accusations on the bus. You in a small town. They pulling the small town over. They pulling the bus over. Now, you didn't know your hype man had some weed and a pistol. You didn't know that. So it's like, you about to have a whole bunch of problems, but your face is on the billboard. You're the man. People know your name, and you with a big label.
You have a story. You look like you have some kind of story like that.
No. The pistol thing, I just threw that in there.
Well, you've heard some of the artists in the past have had that before.
Hypothetical.
I'm coming towards the end of the show because I try to keep it at a certain time. And, let's just imagine today is the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Today is the end of your life. You happen to live 100 years.
Okay.
Made a lot of comedy shows.
Yeah.
You ended up doing some great things after your comedy career. You had all these videos, great family. You lived 100 years. But today is the day you go and meet your creator.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And everything that you did, man, is erased.
Okay.
And now all you have, they give you a pen and a paper. Mm-hmm. And they say, leave this for your future great kids, great grandkids, and the future world. Mm-hmm. And put 3 things in there. It can be 3 truces, 3 things how to live life, 3 lessons that you teach, you leave for the world. What will it be?
Well, for one, my main goal is just be the best dad, best husband I could be. So that's got to be one of them, because that right there just means so much more than, it's cool to make people laugh and, oh man, I like that one thing you put on Facebook. That's cool, but did you raise your kids well? Do you have a good relationship with your wife? Also character. I think character should be one of them, because like I'm noticing, the quotes and stuff that you have here in your podcast studio, and a lot of this stuff speaks to, good character. Work hard in silence. Let your success make the noise. I'm getting the cliff notes. I would say, stay humble, be kind, work hard. But yeah, good character. It's like what you do when nobody's looking. Are you able to look yourself in the mirror and just, are you truthful? Are you honest? Or you, a little white lie here, a little white lie there. That's going to eat you up. So,
Have a good character.
Yeah, good character. But yeah.
What would be number 3?
Oh, man. Let me think. That's a hard one, man. I'm stumped.
Take your time.
Yeah. Just do things your way.
Things your way.
Yeah, do it your way, like the Frank Sinatra song. Put your own sauce on it, and that's why you can't dwell too much on mistakes or the past or regrets, because as long as you did it your way, even if it was wrong, you did it your way. Yeah. Everybody was saying, no, man, don't do that. Don't do that. Trust me, that's a mistake. But then you do it and it's like, oh, like even with the whole thing about, talking the political stuff, it's like, man, I gained so much.
Mm-hmm. So do it your way, have good character, and be a good father and a good husband.
That's right.
Now, I want to know and I didn't ask you this, what made you start a podcast, and what is the main goal for the podcast?
Man.
Besides spreading the word.
Yeah.
But what is the end goal? Okay.
Well, podcasting is an amazing medium. It's an amazing art form for so many reasons. It is such a great platform. I look at people like, let's just say Joe Rogan, for example, and a lot of his comedy friends. I think one thing he preaches to his comedy friends is, look, you can go work for SNL. They're gonna work you to the bone. You got to write these sketches. There's politics and all this crap. Or you could be your own person, have your own platform, and gain your own audience, your own tribe, your own lane, and people are getting unfiltered, no out of context type of stuff. And it's such a powerful medium, because people, for example, I might do a comedy show in Mission, Texas. I might announce my podcast. On the way home, they might consume an episode, and the next day, and now next thing you know, they're going through the back catalog, and they might want to listen to the first episodes when I first started. So it's very powerful. And, the end goal with that is, use it as a great way to have a great connection with the fan base, so that if there's not a pandemic and you're able to go to a theater or an arena or something, your podcast might be your greatest marketing tool. Some people's podcasts are so popping, they might be like, yo, I'm going to be at the blah, blah, blah theater in Boston all weekend. You get your tickets now. And boom, stuff sells out.
Or end up having a good deal like Joe Rogan.
That too. That don't hurt neither.
All right, man. Chingo, thank you so much for coming over here, man. Thank you for sharing a little bit of your life. Thank you for sharing your views, and I appreciate it. And yes, you know what? I love how you went, off the grain, away from the grain. And this is America. You know why I like it? It's the greatest country in the world.
Absolutely.
Because you can say whatever you want to say, because you have the freedom of speech. You can be whoever you want to be, because it's all onto you. I said the other day, I don't know if I made this video the other day, and I said, in other countries, in third world countries, people think America is, the roads are paved out of gold, and there's a tree right there. You can just get on the tree and you can shake the tree, and the money will fall, right? And I said, yeah, man, you know what? There is really a money tree in everybody's house. It's in the front yard and the backyard. For you to get the money, you got to go to work.
Yeah.
And make sure you climb up that tree, shake the tree, and do it, man. And you know what? I commend you for taking side roads and back and forth, and disappointments and mistakes or whatever, because you're right there climbing that tree every day, man, trying to get that money. So
yeah.
So thank you for doing it. Thank you for keep doing your podcast. Keep being a great man. Keep being a great husband and great father, man.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it again.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Gracias.